Casey with Snake River Seed Co-op. I'm back to teach you a little bit more about seed saving. So today we're going to talk, well, last time we talked about pollination and the ways that plants get pollinated. Either they're pollinated by insects, wind, or themselves. And we said, oh, it's so easy to save off of the plants that are just pollinated by themselves because you don't have to worry about what insects and wind are doing. But when you do want to save seed off of anything that's not one of those few sulfurs, then you do need to know what the insects and wind are doing and how to. And so today what we're going to talk about is understanding the Latin name of the plant and knowing how that affects who will cross-pollinate or could cross-pollinate with who. So I'm going to use this example. I'm going to use the example of, we're going to say broccoli, we're going to use kale, and we're going to use turnips. Three pretty common vegetables. So the Latin name is the genus and species of the plant. So in this case, Brassica oleracea, acea. Kale is also Brassica oleracea, and turnip is Brassica rapa. So in this case, plants that have the same genus and species will cross-pollinate with each other if they're flowering at the same time. And so in this example, if you have broccoli flowering in your garden and you have kale flowering in your garden, those two things, the bees will take the pollen from the broccoli and move it to the kale and vice versa, and you'll get some sort of cross of broccoli and kale, or you can get some sort of cross between broccoli and kale. Now, if you have kale flowering at the same time as turnip, turnip is a different species, so it will not cross-pollinate. Even though the flowers look really similar, and even though it'll look like it looks really similar in the field when it's flowering, they won't cross-pollinate because they're not the same genus and species. So you can look up online the genus and species of whatever crop you're growing, and you can know, and it's in our seed saving zine that we're all using. So you can see, okay, I'm growing this. What's the genus and species that I should be aware of, that there might be another plant I'm not even thinking about in my garden that might cross. And so, so from a seed saving perspective, it's fine if you're growing a bunch of different kinds of something. Where it starts to get in the way of your seed saving and saving things that you know what they're going to be next year, is where they're flowering. And I want to make that really clear. You know, if you've got broccoli that's flowering its little head off in your garden, and you have kale that's just sitting there like leaves, and you're picking leaves off your kale, there's no risk of cross-pollination because they're not flowering at the same time. So you don't have to worry about that. It's only when you've got broccoli trying to flower at the same time as kale trying to flower where it becomes an issue. So from the simplest way to handle that is if you're dealing with a plant that's pollinated by insects or wind and you want to save seed off of that, the easiest thing to do is just plant one thing in your garden that's that genus and species and not plant more than one kind. Unless, of course, you don't care if they cross-pollinate or you want them to cross-pollinate, in which case plant all the kinds and let them cross-pollinate in your garden. That's fine too. But that's the easiest thing to do. And next time we make a little video, we'll talk about other ways that we can isolate our crops to protect them from getting cross-pollinated by different things that we weren't expecting. But we'll leave this here today. So plants that are the same genus and species can cross-pollinate with each other in your field if they are flowering at the same time. So let's leave it there.